You know what I really need to do is I need to make an intro for this show.
Yes.
Alan Murphy, I see you're on your way. When you get here, you can just jump in. Let's see. Alan was supposed to be here already.
Hello, Alan.
Yep, Alan be tripping. I was like, dude, be here at 8:30. All right, someone's got their thing up with their volume on. But it sounds good? All right, cool.
Me.
All right, so you're watching. All right, I guess I'll be watching too.
You're watching.
Yep. All right, it just got freaky. All right, cool. So that's my angle. All right. Oh, that was my volume. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. What's up, y'all? So, hey, this is Jamie. You all know me. I'm kooky and crazy. So with all the craziness that's going on in the world, I was like, crap, we got to talk about this stuff. So I'm just starting to get random people to come in the studio. So I had a girl named Diamond Bentley, which is two expensive things. She hit me up the other day and said, hey, I want to be the next Oprah. I said, really? You want to be the next Oprah? I was like, that's pretty big shoes to handle. So I was like, well, come in the studio, let's talk, and let's see if you really can be the next Oprah. And she might can be the next Oprah. So we're going to have a little talk. Feel free to say anything you guys want to us online, and we will respond. And other than that, let me introduce my guest today, Diamond Bentley.
Hi.
Why you say hi all creepy, dude? Are you like got stage fright?
No, not really.
Okay.
This is cool, though. I've never done something like this, so this is really cool.
Okay. So the trick to it is, and see how I'm pointing towards my belly button towards my camera? You got to point your belly button towards your camera.
Boom.
Boom. That's right. In their face. So you're not so much having a conversation with me. You kind of talk to the side a little bit.
Got you.
Yep.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them.
Yep. And get. Don't be afraid of your microphone.
Boom, boom, boom.
You can move it. It moves and adapts.
Like I could be like,
like a
Destiny's
transformer.
Child right now.
Say my name. Say my name.
Basically.
I gotcha. Cool. All right. So why did you want to come and do this?
Well, I saw your post because Keith and Mitchell, shout out to him. He like tagged me in it. And with everything going on in the world, like you said, I feel like I was like called to just be, very active and very vocal. You think about like, I'm only 24 right now. And I think about like people prior to me who actually have been fighting this and protesting this now. And it's like, I feel like it's our time to stand. So you have to be a part of the change, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say X, Y, and Z and Black Lives Matter this and not be a part of like, not be an advocate myself as for it, you know what I'm saying? And doing things that I have to do to be a part of the change and hearing my voice and having my voice being heard and speaking for those who, don't want to speak or can't speak. So, yeah.
Okay, so now you go to UNCW, correct?
I do.
What do you study? I'm
a communications major with a minor in journalism.
Okay, and what are your goals?
I want to graduate May 2020. I'm 21. Oops, sorry. And then go work at a network to, basically work my way up to be the director of communications, to be the person who puts out more positive energy, more positive media. I feel like my generation is solely focused on like the fame and the fortune and stuff like that. And we have either, like we see just Beyonce and Jay-Z and Kylie Jenner, and then we see, George Floyd. We never see the in-betweens. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you told me your goal, and what is the first thing I told you?
You're like, you can do it
yeah.
without working for somebody.
Yeah, why conform to somebody else? In this digital age, you have a smartphone.
Right.
You have a microphone.
Right.
You have the internet.
Exactly.
What's stopping you?
And nothing's really stopping me. I have my own podcast myself called Sitting in the Chair that I do myself, like at my own house and everything. And it's basically just like a podcast of my thoughts in my own mind. I have a very open mind. I feel like my mind is like outer space and I have like a very broad perspective on like life and stuff like that.
Wait, did you just say your mind's a vacuum?
I said my mind's outer space. I'm meaning that it's like really, really out there. It's like, it's open to anything, and I'm open to any type of conversation. And it like, so my podcast is literally like me just talking about just the things that I think on, and it's a safe space. Basically what you have here is it's a safe space to talk to us. And, a lot of people have like outlets that are solely focused on their personal views, and we don't have outlets that are like, let's open up the conversation like you have, let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's sit and actually like, I have my views, you have your views, but let's talk about it. We're not talking enough.
Well, I did have one rule. The only rule is you cannot spew hate. Right. Other than that, you can argue all you want. You have to argue. Sometimes you have to fight to change people's minds and change people's hearts. So we're gonna change people's hearts.
I agree.
I also had to change the bite me because it was a little bit big.
I agree. But I agree that like, and in the fact of arguing, I feel like a lot of people are so one-sided. With arguing, I feel like it's more or less like, or a debate, you know what I'm saying? It's like, let me hear your side and let me hear, like, you hear my side. Let's find a common ground. And if we can't find a common ground, that's fine. But I can, I can agree to disagree. But I don't have to act on how I feel and do it to you or whatever the case is. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I don't like broccoli and you love broccoli, we can still eat at the same table. We can still order off the same menu. We can still do all that stuff at the same table. But I'm not going to sit here and throw your plate away.
How do you like your broccoli?
Steamed.
Steamed? Do you put cheese on it?
Nope, I put
Cauliflower on it. Wait, you hit a vegetable with another vegetable?
All day, every day with mashed potatoes.
Wait, okay, so you went three veggies on me.
Yep.
So what do you put? Do you like put butter on it, or you put cheese on it?
So we make, baked chicken, and then with baked chicken we do, hi everybody who's watching. This is so cool. Oh my gosh, I love y'all.
Yeah.
We do baked chicken, and then we do.
Everybody, guys, if you want to say anything into the comments, we've got both of our phones pulled up. We can see everything you guys type, and we'll pull you into the show.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
But we do baked chicken. You know what I'm saying? Season that thing really nice. Put that in the oven. Mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Homemade mashed potatoes.
Okay.
You just steam the mashed potato. like boil the mashed potatoes. Do what you got to do.
Do you steam them in the microwave?
No, you don't steam them. You don't steam mashed potatoes. You boil mashed potatoes. And then you steam some broccoli and cauliflower, and that's a good meal right there with some Hawaiian rolls. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Starch, baby.
All the starches in the world. My friend Callie actually loves only sides. Shout out to her. But
is this the one right now here? Is this your sides?
No, this is Tori.
That sounds really bad.
Tori is my brain.
You can't say that to guys.
No,
is that
absolutely
your sides?
not. Nope.
I got shot once for saying that.
Dun dun dun.
So I like to joke around. I like having fun. But at the end of the day, why are you here?
I'm here to be a voice to help other people understand that we have to get educated and motivated. We're able to speak, y'all. Like, we are here in the day and age where all of us have social media. We have our phones and we have, our own opinions and stuff like that. I think about like my grandma and stuff like that they went through, that they didn't have the opportunities that we had. I asked my grandma the other day, we helped them move. And I was like, Gran, what do you think of protests? I call my grandmother Gran. And she was like, I remember one time I asked my mom if I could go to D.C. to see Martin Luther King myself. And she was like, no, because it's so dangerous and X, Y, and Z. And I think about, like, you're right. Like, back then, my grandma was 75. Back then, everything was so much more dangerous then. They didn't have, Twitter, and they didn't have Facebook to just openly say what they wanted to say. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't a lot of people who were in the newspapers. The media was very controlled and stuff like that. So, like, we, the people who I know, people who are my age, younger than me, older than me, we have social media now. So it's like, get educated and start motivating other people to start doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Start educating other people who are not like, who just have one side's opinion, stuff like that. But like, start motivating our kids to start doing more, start motivating our kids to start getting out there, start motivating our kids to have dreams. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if my kid wants to be a judge, I'm going to support them tenfold.
Okay. So I heard you want to have your own sit-in.
Yeah.
How are you going to go do that?
Well, as of right now, I have a group me of people who, support. I put it on Twitter. I was like, if anybody wants to do another, I don't want to call it a protest because, like, I want to sit in. I want everybody to sit down physically at, like, a park. And literally, I want everybody to sit in at a park, bring waters and picnics and stuff like that, and have a whole bunch of guest speakers basically, like, come and educate us. Some elects, stuff like that, some speakers. Because, like, again, I'm so big on, like, educating our youth, and, like, I'm so big on conforming the older generation and our generation now to come together and basically set a new moral foundation for our future. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't change the older generation's minds. We already have been taught and been raised. So it's like, what are we going to do to raise our kids now? What are we trying to bring our kids into now? But we can't do that until we motivate and start opening up the eyes of other people. So that's what I want to do with my sit-in. Perfect.
All right, so we got our first question. So I don't have my old man eyes on, but here, I'll let you read it. It's from Gary Burrell.
Dun, dun, dun. He said, good morning, Jamie. Please expound on what you mean by no hate. Most of the injustice folk have experienced was as a result of hate. Hate is a part of the narrative. I'm just seeking to understand.
Okay, so how do you explain hate? I guess I'd first have to say is, I grew up in a small town in North Dakota.
Right.
Okay. 99.99% white. Okay. I didn't know that my dad was a racist until I got married the first time.
Oh, way.
My first ex-wife was a black girl.
Wow.
Okay. But I had no earthly clue. I got back from boot camp. My grandpa and grandma lived in a small town called Litchfield, North Dakota. Teeny tiny. They both passed since then. I got back from boot camp, and my grandma asked me, what are black people like? I said, wow. And none of this really hit me because I didn't grow up in it.
Right.
So my first experience dealing with other ethnicities was in the Marine Corps. And in the Marine Corps, everybody's green.
Right.
It's just how we're taught, how we're raised. So even though my dad was racist and I didn't know it because he never really expressed himself, because I guess we were never in that type of environment.
Right, you were never around other races.
So I never knew. And, I have 2 biracial children. So it's just, I have to look at everything that's happening in this world now as what kind of world do I want to leave for my kids?
Right.
Okay. I can't, how do I, as a white man, tell my son that right now I can do certain things that he can't? That's not right. Okay. That conversation should never have to happen. Exactly. We should never be in that type of position. And I don't know how to express those thoughts into his head without ever having experienced them myself. Right. So sometimes I'm have to like, dude, you got to talk to your mom about that because I just don't know. Wow. And so my thing on hate and fear is secondhand. The only fear I have is for my son. I don't have fear myself. And that is a completely different type of fear because I was in the Marines. If I see a problem, I'm going to go headlong into it. I'm not afraid to confront my stuff. But that's for my kids.
Right.
I can't always be there to protect them. I want to be. They have to live their own life. My oldest is not getting ready to go into his senior year of high school.
Oh.
So I look at things like, holy crap. And it just like hit me the other day. My son's driving home back from his job at night. What if he gets stopped? What kind of conversations does he have to have? And he's bigger than I am. Like, B will put a hurt locker on you. He's a big old little kid. But it's weird having to look up to your own son. But I'm like, what if they pull him over?
Right.
What are they going to do that? I was like, so these are all the things I have to think about as a dad. And being that I can't relate to certain things, I talk to a lot of my other friends. I'm like, guys, what do you experience? What do you go like this? And it's still only secondhand information because I've never lived it. So that's why I said I truly can't understand it. I do understand hate, but I don't understand that kind of hate.
Yeah.
And for people to understand that kind of hate, they have to try to open up conversation. But conversation's only as good until you can make it part of you, make it relatable. I can talk about wanting to be purple or I want to have a purple car, right? But until I actually have that purple car, I'll always just think of the idea of the purple car.
Right. Right.
And that's kind of where my mind is right now.
I agree with you. I feel like you said, like, I think about, like, my grandma and, like, all my family and everybody who we even encountered with. And I was talking about it today as literally we're driving in the car. And I'm like, for someone who has actually experienced segregation, like my grandma lived in Wilmington, went to Williston Middle School, which was an all-black school at the time, and who actually experienced segregation, had the right to basically teach us, don't be around those white people. You don't need to be around those white people, whatever. And I think about it all the time. I've had a white boyfriend. Mm-hmm. My aunts have had a white boyfriend. My cousins have had mixed girlfriends. My cousins have mixed kids. I have mixed cousins. And it's all because of the moral foundation that my grandma set for us. Because again, like my grandma could have easily been like, the moment that my aunt had married a white man, she could have been like, I disown you, or get that out of here. I don't want to deal with your mixed kids or whatever the case is, because she experienced it herself. She experienced segregation herself. I graduated from my grandma's high school in middle school. And I had the opportunity to graduate from New Hanover High School, the school that she couldn't even go to. And when I think about stuff like that, I'm like, I got a diploma from the school down the street from my grandma that she basically could not even walk in the doors of. Yeah. And I'm like, this woman never once saw color of her own. She never taught us to see color. I've had all of my closest friends are white. I have 2 best friends right now who are white. I have a lot of friends who are white. I love them to death.
That's because you go to UNCW.
No, my best friend ever since I was 2, Cheyenne Perry, is my best friend since I was 2 in diapers.
Okay.
That's my best white as day. My best friend Maddie, know her ever since middle school, white. And I'm like, my grandma invited them in their houses and everything. They was at the cookouts and stuff like that with us. They was at our birthday parties. They were there, and my grandma never treated them any different just because of their skin color. But she had the right to if she wanted to.
Sure.
She could have if she wanted to. So I agree with you. Like, a lot of things are secondhand, and I just think about like what we do teach our kids. I'm like, my grandma, I didn't experience segregation. I didn't experience going to a white only, like a black only school, or what like the case may be. I went to a majority white school, but my grandma was forced to go to a black school. You know what I'm saying? So that's even me in segregation. That's secondhand myself. But you know, my grandma, her moral foundation was like, you know, like you said, like we're all just children of God in her opinion, and that's how she sees us. So I agree with that tenfold.
So you know what I hate more than anything?
What?
People who say they don't see color.
I mean, for real, but
I mean, how the hell do you not see color?
I feel like you have to acknowledge the color.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you may not see it. Like, when people, I feel like, say they don't see color, it's just like, I don't see that you're white. You know what I'm saying? I just see you as Jamie. That's who you are.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I see you as Jamie and you are white.
Yes.
I am Diamond and I'm black.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to treat you any different of it. But I feel like you have to acknowledge the fact that, like, you and me live 2 different lives if it came down to it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, that's not necessarily true.
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So think of it this way. You want to go into communications, right?
Right.
You want to have your own studio, right?
Right.
You want to have your own show, right?
Right.
How's that different than me?
It's just the fact that, like, the opportunities that you would probably get over me, not me specifically, but you know what I'm saying? That's how people see it. People see it as, like, you know, the opportunities that a white person will get over the opportunities of a black person would get. That's the conversation that people also, like, need to have as well. You know what I'm saying? That, like, you can get further in life because of, like, your color to a point. You know what I'm saying? And I have to work twice as hard. That's the conversation. That's what people see. Not necessarily like me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do what I have to do regardless.
Okay.
I'm going to get to where I have to go regardless of the situation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The hardships that come with it, if they come with it, I'm going to handle them when they get there.
Okay, so let me say this, okay? So I got in trouble when I was in the Marine Corps when I was younger, right?
You did?
I've got all that stuff on my background. Yeah, so on paper, I shouldn't be able to be at where I'm at.
Wow.
But I make it happen.
Wow.
Okay? I grew up very, very poor. Everything I've had to work for. I started this business 10 years ago with a $400 camera I bought off Craigslist.
We support him, y'all. We support.
No, I don't need support. I'm blessed.
Amen.
So the thing is, if you want something, you have to work for it. Anything worth building and lasting will always take time. Think of the pyramids. Okay? They took a lot of time building that stuff. They did a lot of weird stuff to do it, but they did it.
Right.
But that foundation was solid. Old castles, those foundations are those buildings are still up because the foundations are solid.
Right.
You go through any new community in that they're just throwing up anywhere in Wilmington, right? And you go up to it and look at it 2 years later, and the roof is already slanted because they're throwing them together so fast that they don't care about how they're building it. I care about how things are built. I think like an engineer. So that being said, if you want something, take your time, build it right. Anything worth doing is going to take time. It's going to last that way. Because I could just throw stuff together and be like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Right.
But it's never going to last. So if you want to grow and you want to be big and you want to be great, take your time and build your foundation, build your core, know who you are, identify what you're strong at, identify your weaknesses, and do it. But don't give me an excuse of, I don't have this. If you want it, you can do it. My kid's already 16 years old, working at a restaurant, building up his saving account because he wants to do underwater welding.
I like that.
If you want to do it, you can do it.
And to piggyback off of that, though, it's like, I like how you said, like, my kid is already doing this, and it's just like, shout out to you because, you know, you're teaching your children these things. So my best friend, actually, everybody knows Tori. She's my best friend. We literally have 2 separate lives. We literally have grown up 2 separate ways. And when we came together, it's like we almost completed, you know, each one's like, you know, what's the word? Like misinformation. So like when it came to like education, when it came to like stuff like that, I don't have a lot of people in my specific family who went to college.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of, what'd you say?
Only my mom went to college.
Right. So I don't have a lot of people who in my life.
Wait, my dad did too, but he was a drunk.
I don't have a lot of figures, you know, I don't have the lifestyle where it was like both my parents went to college, both of my parents had a career, you Diamond, you need to go to college. I didn't have that. I wanted to go to college. Sure. And my grandma supported that, obviously. She's like, you need to get a degree. But Tori's family literally is the family of the people who were like, you're going to go to school. You need to go to school. You need to get a degree. You know what I'm saying? Both her brothers went to school. They got their degrees and stuff like that or whatever. So like I grew up, you know, working for my own, working since I was 16, having, you know, to pay for my own car. My first car, went through 4 cars, you know what I'm saying? Going through a life of like figuring things out and getting experience and stuff like that. So
We've all had clunkers.
Right. But like her clunkers are happening now in her adult life as for my clunkers happened when they were younger.
Sure.
So it's like
But who's got the stronger foundation now?
Right. We both do though.
Okay.
We both do because like now, even though we have our foundations from our family, we create our foundation, our foundations now. Okay. We're creating our own moral foundations now, our stronger foundations now. And like the way that I see things now, the way I'm getting educated now from other people and outside sources is how I'm going to teach my kids. No one was teaching us certain things because our parents didn't know certain things.
Sure.
We didn't have, my grandma could only teach her kids but so much until they found out what they could find out and experience what they could find out to teach their kids but so much.
Do you want to hear the sad thing? No parent has all the answers. We're learning too.
I agree with that as well. But again, like when it comes to certain things, my grandma didn't have certain opportunities that other people didn't have. And she made it work, like you said. Like, yeah. She made it work. Again, my best friend, Maddie, you know what I'm saying? She lived a life as well, a beautiful life as well. And like, you know, but she had to go through what she had to go through and she's just as white. Grew up on Greenfield Street.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the opportunities that we have, you know, we have to take those. And it's not even like it's the fight that they fought back then, but it's the fight that we're fighting now to start changing and building a stronger foundation for our kids now, for our world now. You damn right I'm about to sit here and teach my kids X, Y, and Z now, even though I don't have all the answers, but I have better answers now from the things that I've learned from the people that I've seen now. Sure. I've been to college and stuff like that now, so I can teach my kids and motivate my kids to go to college. But if they don't want to go to college, I can completely understand. I'm like, you could build off of that as well because I wasn't always in school as well.
Sure.
But you know, but my grandma didn't have that. She wasn't educated but so much. She wasn't educated but so much. So then like my aunts and them wasn't educated but so much. So then we wasn't educated but so much. So it's like no one doesn't have all the answers. Yeah, but when it comes down to the top of the tier, when it comes down from what she got to learn to what other people got to learn, when it came down from Williston didn't have but so many textbooks, but Murrayville and Ashley did, that's where we have to start investing and motivating our kids, start putting into our schools, start putting into everything that we can to build a better moral foundation, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
I'm out of breath, y'all.
Whew. You need some water?
That was just a lot. You know, I was passionate about that.
Yeah,
right
get it
there.
off your chest,
I was
dude.
like, get it off my chest.
Say it with your chest. Ugh. Yeah, I'm a goober. What was I going to say? I had a great motivational thing to say, but now I lost it. Old man syndrome, I guess.
The old man syndrome, I guess.
Dude, yeah, it's true, man. All right, so what I was thinking was, okay, as a parent, right, I know everything I was not happy with my childhood, okay? So when I had BB, I told myself he was never have to experience some of the things I had to experience. And that's what I focused on. But now as I'm getting older, I was like, well, maybe I focused too hard on that and less on the other stuff that went right.
Right.
So, whereas my dad was a drunk, I won't drink. I had to explain to him, it's like, hey, alcoholism runs in our family. If you drink and you like it, we're probably going to like it too much, and we're going to have a problem with that. Same thing with everything else. It's like, we have a very addictive personalities. But in the meantime, shouldn't I have also been teaching them, hey, this is the bad stuff that happened, but here's also the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I think not purposefully, but looking back, because looking back is always 20/20, is like I should have found a better balance.
I agree. I love that because like you said, like there are so many people who do like, I'm gonna use your alcoholism example. You know, they're like, alcoholism is bad. Don't like my dad had it, X, Y, and Z. Like we don't need to do it. Instead of just educating, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the situation at hand. You know what I'm saying? This is what might happen. You know what I'm saying? But here's how you can handle it better on. And if you feel X, Y, and Z way, you should be able to come to me. I will say that like a lot of parents, like a lot of our parents now and stuff like that are very open to the conversation. You guys are very much like welcoming into being like, you know, talk to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? From your parents, like, you know, their mistakes. You're like, you know, I was never able to talk to my parents. I want to make sure that my kids can talk to me.
Sure.
But like, you know, my mom was always like that. My mom was like, you know, Diamond, I can't hide you from the stuff that you're going to see out there.
Yeah.
Even though I may agree with you doing it or not agree with you doing it, whatever, no matter what she was doing, what she wasn't doing, whatever the case is, she's like, I can't hide you from it. You're going to go to school. Someone's going to introduce you to it. She's like, so this is what this stuff is.
Sure.
This is what these things are. This is what you need to do if you know you get to a situation where you can't handle. I will say this, like story time. So like my mom, my 18th birthday, my mom was like, Diamond, get like a couple of your friends, come to my house. And she was like, and we're going to drink. A lot of people might not agree with this. My mom was like, you're going to drink and you are going to get drunk. And she was like, you're going to get drunk here and have a good time. I got drunk that night with at my mom's house or whatever. And then the next morning, my mom was like, you had this amount of shots and these amount of mixed drinks. Those are your limits. So that when you go out or whatever you do when you get older, you know that it takes X amount of these shots or X amount of drinks to where you can't fully function to a point.
Yeah.
So in my years now, you could ask Tori, we go out and I'm like, I'm on shot 5.
Yeah.
2 more shots and I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm on drink 3. No more drinks. You know what I'm saying? And like, again, like you said, like not all the parents had the answers, but when it comes to experience, when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to things like that, you guys share it with us. And it's like, now it's time for us to figure out how we need to put it all together, how we need to handle the conversations better, how we need to start approaching the situations, not better, but you know, how we need to start approaching situations to give us, our kids, our generations here on out. Because we can't change what happened years before. You can't change it. But what we can change is the future now.
No. All right. I think Mr. Gary sent us another question.
You did. You had a question.
All right. What did Gary say? I got to really get my glasses.
Mr. Gary said, Jamie, do you acknowledge that white privilege exists?
You want the God's honest truth? Well, I'm going to give you the God's honest truth. It does. So, but I didn't realize it. So, again, having my sons opened my eyes to a lot in the world. I remember my kid was in daycare, right? And his mom would get treated a certain way. But when I went to the daycare, there was never the same problems.
Wow.
And I was like, huh? And even back then, it didn't really dawn on me. But every time I've had to ever go check up on my son after his mom, there's always a difference.
Oh, way.
And I'm like, okay, so that really started opening my eyes. So I've had 16 years of my eyes slowly be open to white privilege. There's certain things that I know I can do that some of my other friends can't. The same things I'm having those conversations with my sons, like, hey, dude, this is the world we're living in right now. If we get pulled over at nighttime, I'm probably going to be good. You got to be really careful. Like, all my little sarcastic remarks and my smart mouth that gets me in trouble won't really get me in trouble. I'll probably get chuckles out of it.
Right.
You're probably going to get pulled out the car. And the worst part is my son's way funnier than I am. That kid will hurt your feelings. But, so yes, I acknowledge that it is a reality of the world we live in currently. But how do we fix that? That's what these conversations are for. If you don't address the elephants in the room, the elephants are always going to be the elephants.
Right.
You need to make them mice again. Stuff that isn't important shouldn't be important. Skin color shouldn't be important. It should be what's going on in your brain, what's coming out of your mouth, what actions you're doing.
Right.
Okay. Everything else is equal. But so there's ignorant white people, there's ignorant black people, there's intelligent white people, there's intelligent black people. But you don't know until you talk to somebody.
Right.
You don't know until you have those interactions. You know, it's really easy to stereotype. Half the times I'm in one of my button downs, I look like a country hick. You know, I'm happier in Lowe's than anywhere. I like my table saw. I like building stuff. That's where I'm happy. I love shooting weddings. I like doing that kind of things. I'm a hopeless romantic, more hopeless than romantic. But it's one of these things. It's like, you would never know that by looking at me from the outside. I'm just a geeky, white, chubby guy who drives a Nextera. Right. You know, who looks like he likes to sleep in the woods. So, but get to know people. Hate or dislike somebody for who they are, not what you think they are.
Right. For their actual character, like characteristics. I work at a trampoline park, and I'm so happy you just described yourself, because it just made me think of one of my coworkers. We love her to death, and she is country down to the socks. We love her, and I hate the country. I will never live in the country, people. I hate it. I don't like bugs. I don't like being like 20 minutes away from a Walmart. No. But like this coworker, she loves the country and stuff like that. So I would always ask her because, like, again, you as a person have to get educated on the things that you say. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I would ask her, like, I'm like, what do you do? Like, what do y'all do? She was like, I'm having like a pig roast or something like that. I was
pig
like,
picking.
Yeah. And I was like, what's that?
Oh, that was
she
the most
told me,
redneck thing, but it's delicious.
Right. So I asked her that. So then I was like, do you accept people calling you a redneck and stuff like that? And she was like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really think about it. So then I Googled it. Mm-hmm. I like did Urban Dictionary because, we were joking around, and I Google it and then I read the actual definition. I said, oh no. I said, I refuse to call you this ever again, because like in Urban Dictionary, it was really, really, really not an okay. Google redneck and you'd be like, wow. I never, even though like she didn't mind it, sure, because it was such a common like phrase or whatever, I was like, I would never call you that, because like what the definition of it meant. And I was like, you have to take your time out to, like you said, there's ignorant white people, there's ignorant black people, but you have to take the time out to be like, let me learn you as a person. Because again, like, she loved the country and I hate the country, and it's like, again, but I love her as a person. Sure. She's such a great person. Even though we live two completely different lifestyles, have two different completely views, we can still work together and everything. And I like, she's funny, she's hilarious, she's been to my house numerous times, we have drink together, and it's like, but you have to want to get educated on what's going on. You have to want to learn someone else's lifestyle. You have to want to know what they are going through in order to have the conversation. I'm not going to have a conversation with someone who just doesn't want to hear it, who just doesn't want to listen, who doesn't want to but have your opinion. Stay strong.
Sure.
Stay strong. Be who you are. But want to have that conversation with somebody. So it was pretty cool to actually talk to her about that. But that's I agree with you tenfold. Like,
So there's an actual comment I'm gonna have you read, because I can't read it because my eyes are bad. But playing off that, you're never gonna be able to change everybody, because
right.
You can only change if you want to change. If you don't think you're doing wrong, you're not going to change, and we can't change that. As much as we want to, as much as we could have all the talks until we're blue in the face, just certain people are not going to change.
Right.
However, we have this next generation we can help mold. Okay? So we're going to be stuck with some of the old heads who just won't change. But sooner or later, they're going to die off anyways. By natural causes. I'm not saying do anything weird.
Right,
But that mentality is going to change. It's going to evolve. It has to.
Right.
If we're going to grow as a society, if we're going to go to Mars, if we're going to do all this stuff,
right, it
has to change.
Exactly. It literally has to change. And like, I love how you say, like, we really can't change nobody's like mind, and like, you can't. Like, unless people want to get changed. Like, again, like, I love using my grandma as an example because she's like my best friend. And my grandma's 10 toes down for Jesus. She loves God. I love God too. She's a Christian and everything. But again, you see me with over 30 tattoos. My cousins have tattoos. And my grandma is so, your body's a temple type of person. And I remember asking her, I was like, Grand, can I get a tattoo? And she was like, no. And I was like, why not? And she was like, because if God wants you to have tattoos, Diamond, you'd have tattoos. And I was like, okay. I was like, I understand that. I was like, if God wanted me to have green hair, I would have came out with green hair too, right, Gran? And she was like, all right.
All right, you got to pause for a second. So, hey, guys. So, I'm watching the rooms, right? So, I see Reed. I see Richard. So, for you guys who don't know who those guys are, so I used to work for this day show, and they have 9.2 million listeners. And we used to run their live chats, and I was running all their tech for them. And these are the guys from those shows. I'm not going to shout out that show just to make sure I don't piss anybody off. But guys, I see you. I love you. Share this to the Nooner crew. You guys, you know who you are. Other than that, but yeah, so there's some other comments in there if you want to read up on them.
Hi.
He starts with a T. You see it? We decide.
Yep. They said, we decide how we show up in the world. We are all a accumulation of the decisions we have made up to this point.
Yeah, definitely. So
Agreed.
Everybody is it's a game of Risk and Progress. Have you ever played Risk?
No.
It's a game of global domination. My son and I love it. So there's a trick to Risk, though. Whoever owns Australia will take over the world.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So you really dude, we should do an episode where we're playing Risk.
I would do it.
It is the most boring game in the world.
I will not do it.
Yeah. I think I got it. But it makes you think about things differently. It makes you think about spreading your forces out. Where are your weaknesses? Where are your strong points? What is important to you? What do you want to maintain?
Oh, wait.
What are you cool with losing? It's a great mindset for life. So my son and I play it all the time. But I see, we're like 37. You want to see if there's any more people talking? Hey guys, if you want to ask us any questions, feel free to hit us up. We're here for everybody.
Everybody. I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. You know, you're amazing.
Yeah, we got 41 people watching this, dude.
You guys are amazing. I love you guys all so much.
All right, guys. So if there's nothing else, I'm probably going to stop this one. I've got a buddy of mine who will probably be coming on the show in a little bit later today. I've got some crazy stories about me, the police department, a knife, and saying something to the fact, go ahead and arrest me. No, how would I say it? Yeah, he'll tell the story better. It was hilarious. Oh, it was you. Thank you for everybody for watching. All right, guys. Well, I think that's a show. So I tell you what, tell people how they can find you and how they find your podcast.
Everybody follow me on all social medias. Diamond Bentley, Instagram, Ben's the Kid, Twitter, Ben's the Kid. My podcast is on Spotify. It's called Sitting in the Chair with Diamond Bentley. It comes out every Monday at 11. And it's just me and my friends talking about all types of stuff. It's basically like house conversations, you know, just things that you randomly talk about. How a spoon became a spoon, how the stars align, do you believe in astrology, Black Lives Matter, things like that. And we all talk about it all the time. You can hit me up on any social medias. I'm always on my phone. This was the greatest thing that I could have ever done. It makes me so excited. I'm overwhelmed with joy. I thank everybody who I see tuning in that I literally wouldn't even thought to tune in. You guys are amazing. Shout out to Mr. Jamie for having me on here.
All right, so it looks like we got another question. What did Richard say?
How do you feel about the media? How do you feel the media could help instead of hurt the divide? Away.
Oh, that's simple.
Away.
So the media is always chasing a story, right?
Exactly.
They don't so much care about what they're saying. There's more of how they're saying it to get their ratings up.
How many people will view it?
Exactly. It's all skewed. That's why I love the YouTube or the podcast platform. But
that's exactly what they're doing, Mr. Richard. It feels like they are showing riots instead of all the actual good protests. And that is true. I feel like they need to show both. We need to show the cause and effect of both. A lot of people don't agree with like riots and stuff like that. And I mean, like, again, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I would go protest. I have been protesting. Would I throw a fireball into a store? Absolutely not, because it's just not of my character. But when you have one chemical and you have another chemical and you put them together and they explode, you're like, this is just what happens. And that's what's happening right now. It's just kind of cause and effect. And you wish that the media would do more of, you know, and a lot of people only put out certain clips and stuff. I hate that. I hate when people only put out certain stuff. And then next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, it's like, here's the full video of this. Like he said, a lot of people misconstrued a lot of things for their ratings and stuff like that. But the podcast platform, I agree with him so much, is like, you just talk on it and it's real. It's live action. It's what we're talking about now, not planned at all.
Well, it's not planned, but remember, we also bring our own perspectives into
right.
it. So even though we don't want to be skewed, we're going to be skewed based off our own experiences. That's why I like having different conversations with different people so everybody can tell their point of views in a logical, calm manner
right.
that we can actually build on. Because you can get irate and you can be so bullheaded in life where you can't see stuff. You
right.
basically have your blinders on. And if you have your blinders on in life, you're going to get sideswiped all the time. You're going to get hit from your six all the time.
I love that.
You have to be on a swivel. You have to see all possible angles of attack.
And you have to be that type of person who is like me and Mr. Jamie, where it's just like, I'm open to the conversation. I'm open to talking to you about whatever your views are. And like, if you're open to hearing mine, that is what it is. And then we could go from there. But like he said, like, you know, you can't be biased to a point. You can have your views, but again, like, I'm not going to shun you for the way that you feel. I'm not going to tell somebody the way that you feel is right or wrong. If someone was to die in your family and you grieve the way that you grieved, that's how you're grieving. You know, I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you the things of that nature. I can't do that. But you know what I can do is I can listen and I can try my hardest to understand and I can ask questions and I can tell you how I would handle the situation. You know what I'm saying? I tell all my friends with advice, I'm like, do you want my advice or my opinion? because my opinion is how I specifically feel about something. My opinion is very strong. My advice to you is something that I see very unbiased, like very, very in the middle ground. If I was to ask you your opinion on how you feel about something, you're going to give me your opinion. But I was like, hey, what's your advice on X, Y, and Z? You're going to give me the best advice that you can give, no matter how you feel. And that's what I love, like how he said, like a podcast and like, sitting down with people, what he's doing is literally what we need to do, is have someone who's very unbiased, talk to so many people, and then you just take from it what you will. You take from what the perspective, what I said, some people could disagree with it, and some people could be like, that's exactly how I feel. You would never know until you have the conversation.
Oh, I tell you what, let's keep this going for a solid hour. So we're only at about 40 minutes or so. So I think we can pull an easy 20 out of this.
We just don't want to bore anybody. That's all it is. We're having a good time.
I ain't boring. Who are you talking about?
He ain't boring.
All right, so we got some more questions. Nico, what the hell are you doing in here? I tell you, my Nooner crew is coming through today. So yeah, these guys are awesome. What does it say? How do you feel about?
He said, how do you feel about busing? I grew up experiencing my friend busing in from the inner city.
Okay, so busing. So there's two main thoughts to this, right? The first one is diversity. You want to give everybody a chance for, like you said, the more textbooks, this and that and the other, because different schools were stocked differently. Then you have the other part of the equation where it's like, I've worked hard to make all this money to put myself in this community, and because this has the best school closest to it, now why is my kid being pulled from this school to go to this other school?
Oh, way.
Okay. On that one, I don't have a real answer. I would love to say one is right or one is wrong. I love the idea of busing because it does diversity, but I think busing should be in for the children who want it.
Right.
Okay. So if I grew up poor, right? I didn't have a lot of stuff. If there was an advanced school, I would have loved to gone to it, especially a math and science school. It'd been right up my alley. Because we didn't, I was bored in school and I got in trouble, but go figure, you know me. Anyways, so I think for the people that are academically gifted especially academically gifted, I think there should be a school specifically for that. And maybe a busing is good for that. It's not the kid's fault what environment the parents had to go through.
Preach.
But at the same time, how can I take away from people who worked hard to put give those kids their advantages?
Preach.
So, and there's kids who are getting bussed into what you'd call the advantage school, right? But they don't want to be there. They'd rather be somewhere else doing something else because that is not their end game.
Exactly.
So how do you find that balance?
I agree with you. I watched this show called Shameless, and in Shameless, there's a little black boy who's in the family. His name is Liam. The dad, he's a drunk. He gets him into this really nice private school. Like, he's like, I want my kid to have the best education. You don't need to give him, turn him away because he's black. So, and Liam's very smart, so he goes to this private school. It's an all-white school, but he's the only black kid. He's the only black kid. And then all of a sudden, he runs away so he could go be with more, more black kid. Like, he ends up getting kicked out of the school because they can't afford it no more. He ends up getting kicked out the school, and he ends up going to a public school where he's very, very smart. And then he has this big behind culture change.
Yeah.
Like, big behind culture change, because all he grew up in was this private school. So again, like you said, like, we can't control like kids' environment. We can't control their environment. All we can do is like look at the kid themselves and be like, let me help you get the best education that you can get, and the best environment that you can get. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to sit here and put the poor kid and with all these rich behind people who actually got their ways, like you said, like work their way up there and make them feel uncomfortable. We just need to have a common ground for those who are very academically. I'm not gifted in academics at all, but like you said, like you would have loved to gone to a school like that. But again, like, if you were, you would get there and you want to be able to be just as equivalent, not because of like your social class. You want to be just as equivalent because you're just as smart as people who work twice as hard, or, the people who just worked hard, people who were able to go to what they were doing. You were just as hard. You were there. You know what I'm saying? So like, I agree. Like, it's just kind of like, it's hard. It's like, but what do we do to help have that balance?
So the thing is, it's never going to be balanced. And the second you can accept that, it's easier. What you can do is try to tilt it.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying give up because it can't be fixed, because it can be fixed. But the way the system is in place now, I think we have to wipe the pieces off the board, throw the board away,
Start over.
build a new board, build
Start
a new
over.
game. Because what we're doing now is not working.
Create a new moral foundation. I'm going to just keep saying that because that's what I believe in.
Yeah. So I have a studio. It's 1,500 square feet. In the 4 years I've had it, every wall in this studio has changed at least twice. I'm not afraid to go to Lowe's and take a sledgehammer and tear stuff apart and rebuild it because it wasn't working. It wasn't making money. It wasn't giving me the effect that I want to bring in more clients. So I have to look at everything like that. So I look at life like that too. If it's not going well, maybe that's why I've been divorced twice. If it's not going... Yeah, I'm good at getting them, not good at keeping them. So yeah, I guess when I see a challenge, I'm like, let me just find a different one. So maybe never take love advice from me because I'm going to be awful at it. But I can give you advice on other stuff. But yeah, so it's just, you can't be afraid to change things up.
Right.
If it's just not working, but where do you draw those lines? That bug is going to drive me nuts. If I had a samurai sword, I'd decapitate it.
That's a good perspective to have, is literally just being like, this is not working. We got to rebuild. Not like, let's keep trying to fix this and fix that. It's more or less like, again, we have to come together and we have to get different perspectives. We have to talk to a lot of people. And then collectively as a whole, my generation, no cap, it's us, we have to start figuring out ways to set new grounds for the kids that we want to raise in the world that we want them to be raised in. We have to start educating everybody. We have to start believing in our kids. We have to start saying that you can be whatever you want to be, no matter the cause, no matter the situation. We have to start investing in ourselves to invest into our kids to have a better life. We have to do these things because that's how we rebuild. We rebuild by sitting together and talking. We rebuild by changing the way that we think and taking what we have learned and actually putting it to use. We rebuild by telling our kids that this is what you need to do now. This is what you can do. We got to start being examples of ourselves. I want to be the next Oprah, the next Ellen, so that way my kid can see and keep seeing that hey, my mom did this, I can do anything. We have to start believing in ourselves that we can do anything so that our kids can see that we can do anything. Because back then, my grandma and them, they just taught what they knew. And we know more now. And like you said, we can start tearing down walls because we can. We have the most open mind. We have the most innovative minds right now. Me and him are not even, we're two different ages and everything and see the same views on a lot of things right now.
Dude, we just met
literally.
We've been shooting for 42 minutes. We've known each other for 55 minutes?
Literally.
Yeah.
And it's we have to do that. We have to start talking. We have to start gaining more perspective. We have to start doing, you have to knock down the walls, take everything that we know and that we learn and we love, take all the great pieces out of that and set a new moral foundation. We have to start educating ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We have to start doing these things. And the way we do that is by opening up an ear and listening. Sitting down and talking, asking questions. Stop being so prideful that you can't ask a question. I know nothing about a politic in this world. Politics bore me, but you know what I'm gonna do? I make sure I research what I can research, so that when I do vote, I know I'm voting for the right thing. People tell you to vote all the time. They're like, vote, but we can't vote if we don't understand.
All right. So Richard hit me off again. Okay. So he said, federally legalizing weed. Can you finish that one?
Federally legalizing weed would help the prison system, keeping good kids out of jail. Use that tax money to build. See more. Use that tax money to build the inner cities better. Dun dun dun.
All right. So let's go down this rabbit hole. Right. What would the effects of legalizing weed actually do? Because I've already thought about this stuff.
I think we should just legalize weed so that people can stop getting charged for weed. And then also it's just you want to make money off of weed. Look at Colorado, people. There's weed stores. They making taxes off of this money. You know what I'm saying? I know it might hurt some people's pockets, but weed is just less important of a charge to me as a lot of other charges that need to be happening. But I mean,
okay, so sounds like you're in the same rabbit hole as me. All right. So if you legalize weed, right? I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do any of that stuff because I'm kind of boring and I have an addictive personality and I'd be broke.
But he's not a boring person. He's funny.
I like cameras too much. Anyways, so my thinking is you legalize weed, right? You don't have to smoke it if you don't want to, because I mean it's just like anything else that's legal.
Exactly.
Okay. So you legalize weed. What does that do? Well, that takes a lot of the drug dealers, like 90% of them, from selling drugs.
Right.
Okay. At which point now they either have to sell something else,
Right.
or they get a job.
Right.
Okay. Now if they get to a work environment, you can't have the same mentality selling drugs as you do in a corporate setting. That will force you to change some of your mindset during your on-clock hours, right? So
Right.
you'll have the on-clock you and the off-clock you. Well, it's kind of like going to church.
Amen.
When you first go to church, you're walking in the you that you were.
Right.
But over time, you start to see something different. You start to grow. You start to change. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
I like that.
But mostly for the better. You start seeing where you could grow, and you're either going to fight it or you're going to go with it.
Right.
So what's to say, let's just say 40% of the people change, and they now become corporates, and they start like
becoming managers, all types of stuff.
starting their own companies
All types
with
of
this new
stuff.
mindset. Where would the world be? That would slow down street violence, which could in turn to people stop hating each other because they have all these other connotations that they're using.
Right.
And it's a start.
You have to think that some people start selling drugs because they have to. A lot of people don't want to have that conversation. So you can't get a job all the time. They do background checks. People, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know somebody personally who accidentally had weed charge on them and they couldn't get about 4 or 5 jobs. I know them personally, like right hand. And it's just like, a lot of people can't get the job that they want to get because of something that has happened on their record dealing with weed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's a tough conversation to have. But again, like, you got to start somewhere. Like he said, you don't know, you can do it. You can legalize weed and then see the change. And then again, my biggest thing is like, people act like other states haven't legalized weed before. They haven't researched, people have to reach out to be like, Colorado, how has things changed since you legalized weed? And then if they see a positive change, like, okay, well, let me give it a try. You know what I'm saying? Everybody does that. You go do a workout. You're like, man, I think that you look great for working out. What workout did you use? And they're like, well, I used this. And they're like, okay, well, let me give it a try. If you give it a try and it works, you recommend it to somebody else. If you don't give it, if you give it a try and it doesn't work, you try to find something else. So it's just like, again, like you said, like, it's a start, or you have to like do it to see the change. But again, like, we have to do it in order to see the change.
All right, so we got 2 more comments. Reed, Jamie, you said you weren't good at this, and that's a lie. Reed, I can't, man, I wasn't right for that type of show because, like, my views and my personality, and I didn't want to, it was a delicate balance there, but I was always working on something in the background. But the next one, what did Candace say?
Hi, cousin.
What up, cuz?
She said, weed is too easy to grow from home, so the white-collar class will not have a monopoly. They are not interested. She is educated, y'all. I'm just letting you know that she's in the military.
So was I. So and I love you for that. But you're right. Okay, it is easy to grow at home, but it's also easy for me to take a picture. Everybody can take a picture with an iPhone, right?
Yep.
Everybody can take a picture with their phone. Everybody can take a picture on a lot of stuff. But I have a photography studio. Just because something's easy doesn't mean you can't make it better or more professional.
You would think they would want to make money off of that stuff. You would think that they would want to do that. You know what I'm saying? But again, I don't know all the logistics of stuff like that. But I mean, I get like that too. Like, it can be easy, but you got to look at other states. And, if they're succeeding, they're doing something right.
Yeah. So anything can be easy, and there's always other people doing it. But if you want to do something bad enough, do it.
And you should.
There's always room for you to do it. There's always room for you to grow. There's always a market. It's like some people hit me up to do, hey, Jamie, can you do this type of photos? I was like, I can. However, this person is better at that style than I am.
Oh, way.
I'm not afraid to hand over business. But I tell you what, every time I do, people always come back for the stuff I am good at.
There it is.
I'm not afraid to tell people that I can't do this or I'm not as good as somebody else. What is the wrong with telling people you're not good enough? And that if your heart is in the right place and you want people to have the best, if you're not the best, put them in touch with somebody who is.
Right. If you see that someone else could do the job better, get them to do the job better. I seen this thing, great story again, I saw on Facebook. This guy, I was just telling Tori this guy was like how he had such a problem mounting TVs. He was like, I tried to mount a TV and it was awful. I get on Facebook, I see this guy, he's great at mounting TVs. I reach out to him, I'm like, hey, can you come and mount my TV? He says yes. When he comes to me, I was like, hey, can I sit here and watch you mount the TV so I can learn how to mount the TV for myself? He was like, yes, you can. And then they end up starting a business together. You have to know yourself. Like you said, the game that I don't know how to play, the game, you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. We all can't.
You just went Marine Corps on us. Know yourself and seek self-improvement.
Woo! But like you have to know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, and then like again, like I joke about it all the time. But me and Tori, we literally complete each other. Our friendship works because we complete each other in the opposite forms and fashions. You know what I'm saying? Like we complete each other in the things that she lacks, I have, and the things that I lack, she has. But we had to know ourselves in order to know that we all can't be the best at everything. We all can't be the greatest at everything. But what you are good at, someone will look at you and be like, hey, I know this person who could do this, and hey, I know this person could do that, but you can't do everything yourself. And like you said, if we have to sit here and humble ourselves and seek out for somebody else's for the answers.
Hey, run the show for a second. I got to put some oorah on the set.
If you have to sit here and like reach out to other people to sit here, no, he literally left y'all. He literally left, it was just me. If you have to sit here and actually go to somebody else or seek for somebody else for the solutions or ask for help, that's exactly what I did. I'm like, I don't know how to formulate a sit-in or whatever the case is, someone direct me in the case where I can. And then people was like, hey, Diamond, I will help you. And I'm not too good to ask for help. We can't be too good to ask for help. We can't be too good for that. You have to sit here and be like, obviously something is not working. So therefore, when something isn't working, who knows what can work? You know what I'm saying? And that's what's going on right now.
Keep them entertained. I got to screw some stuff on the wall.
You have to think about that stuff now. Is just like, what if I don't have the answers and you don't have the answers and we don't have the answers? Let's make an answer. Let's make some solutions. Let's come together and let's do this, y'all. Yes, Candace, I am running the show all of a sudden because, I love that you talk with your hands. I really do talk with my hands a lot. It's almost like a bad habit, but it's kind of how I express in the best form and fashion. Nothing is wrong with asking for help. We need to learn more. Exactly. We need to sit here and start talking to people more. We got to start sitting here and being like, I can't do but so much. Like, what can you do, or what can you bring to the table? And again, the table is big enough for all of us to put our ideas on it and to actually sit here and take from what we can take from. If you go to the Thanksgiving dinner.
Sorry about that. I had to put some Marine Corps into it. Nice. Oh, it's not in my frame. Oh no, I got to move it.
But if you go to the Thanksgiving dinner and everybody brings, food to the table or whatnot, you have many options in order to make your plate. You have many options. I don't have to eat everything off the table, but there are great things on the table that I can eat and great things that I can add to my plate to go from there. So when it comes down to everything, it's just like, we can't be too prideful. We can't be too, good to ask for somebody to be like, hey, help me in this case or scenario. Allie, they missed the comment. Yeah, can you please say it again? Oh, no.
Did you say Allie Weaver?
Yep.
Say what's up.
Allie, he said, say what's up. So, hi.
Allie Weaver is one of the best children's photographers in Wilmington, hands down.
Dun, dun, dun. Woo, woo. Allie said, that's what I think it is. Big Pharma. Hi, everybody who's watching and who has watched. You guys are amazing.
Tell
I love
Allie
you guys.
showed her website out.
Shout out your website, Allie. Put it on the thing, please. She just said,
I just added the Marine Corps.
She said, Big Pharmacy has more lobbyists than any other corporation with the mission of keeping cannabis illegal. It's a lot of comments right now. Candace said, I believe education about cultural diversity should be required in schools, just like American history is a requirement. Girl, you better preach, because I believe that too. Yeah. And Allie said, haha.
All right, guys. So this has been awesome. Nooner crew, I love you guys. Just had to put a little Marine Corps on the set. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier, because it just works. Other than that, so people want to know, again, how they can get in touch with you. So we need your social, whatever, nothing stalkerish.
Not my social, my social media.
Yeah, not the numbers.
Identity theft. No. Add me on Facebook, Diamond Bentley, just like the car, just like the jewel. Add me on Instagram, Benz the Kid, BENZK, the THE Kid, KIDD with 3 Ds. Same on Twitter and everything else. The moment that you follow me on those things, you'll be able to see me on everything else. All my stuff is public because I have nothing to hide. I'm a very transparent person. Follow me on, all social medias. I love to interact with people because I love meeting new people. As you see, I met Mr. Jamie and we have like a good conversation. And then like check out my podcast, Sitting in the Chair. It's pretty cool. It's only 7 minutes long because I don't believe in long podcasts except for when you're having a good conversation like this one. So, yeah.
Girl, we only do long podcasts, long format.
I love it.
Because I'm trying to get sponsors.
Do it.
Girl, I need your money. So we're going to call this an end for this podcast. This is our episode 1. I think Alan's going to be on here later today. So Alan used to own a shoe store in Wilmington called Coastal Kicks.
What? That's him?
Yeah, Alan Murphy. Now he's got his own insurance company. I've known him for probably going better part of 7 years.
Wow.
So he's going to come on here. We're going to talk a lot of junk. We're going to just explain what's going on. And then
I
later
need some
today,
shoes, Alan. I need some shoes.
we may have Tim and Lily Nicole coming on.
Nice.
Later today. They'll do their own show. I might jump in on a God mic, as the Nooners call it. And other than that, I love you guys. Stay cool. And we out.
Bye.